Hey guys, so we are a few weeks away from the anniversary, and typically whenever we get to this like countdown period before a major celebration, things do get kind of slow until we start getting real reveals and hints and countdown images and all this kind of stuff. So a bit of a down period here where we can take the opportunity to do some I don't know if I'd call it filler content, but you know, just the standard non-showcase discussion videos. So I figured we'll do one talking about what types of mechanics or abilities we could potentially see in the 7th anniversary. They typically do give us some kind of new mechanic, interesting, unique abilities. Of course, during the 6th anniversary, we saw the introduction of the synchro gauges, so something along those lines, but I definitely even have higher expectations for this year, considering we're getting a massive, almost complete overhaul of the entire framework of the application itself, of the Legends app on your phone is getting just like a complete rebuilding from the ground up, essentially. At least that's what they're making it out to be. So I think there's going to be some interesting things here. There are a few things that come to mind that I've mentioned many times. Some, you know, environmental interactions, giant characters, ground battles, things like that. So I wanted to go through and see what other people were thinking we could potentially see in the 7th anniversary. So we'll go through some of these comments here, and I'll give my thoughts and react to some of these responses. Removal of CC exchange limits. Yeah, I mean, I think they should do it. You know, it doesn't affect me at all. If people are going to benefit from the change, I'm all for it, but it just comes down to whether or not it's realistic or not. I don't think, you know, I say maybe they could increase to like 50,000, right? I think that's a realistic number. Ideally, they just move it up to 200,000, right? Ideally, but do I think that's realistic? No, I don't. There is a reason that they keep it at 20,000, okay? So I don't think they would just multiply that number by 10. I think they would maybe increase it to 30,000 or 40,000. 50,000 really to me seems like the limit. Would be nice to do, but we'll see. I don't know if that's something on their docket or not, but we will see. Can they finally do something with the Legends Limited Z abilities? Yeah. I believe that, so what he's referring to is every Legends Limited character has what's called a limited Z ability. So even we can take a look at Kid Goku here. We go down, limited Z ability. So at 14 stars, increases the following stats of allies when this character is a battle member. It's just 10% flat to all stats. And we can go all the way back to the very, very earliest Legends Limited characters. And these guys have it as well. So every single Legends Limited character has this. These were, when these, I believe it was right before Legends Fest 2023 is when those abilities dropped. So we're talking a year and a half ago. They did say they were working on unique Legends Limited Z abilities for characters, and that they will be updated in the future. And it has been a year and a half since then, and we have not seen anything. So yeah, I mean, it would be nice for that to happen. I mean, I don't know what they would do. I mean, I remember the initial example they gave was like allied battle members do like 10% increased damage to Sun family or something like that. 10% increased damage to powerful opponent or whatever it is. That could be interesting. You know, certain characters when combined with these limited Z abilities, maybe they just do like tons of extra damage against, I don't know, like Super Saiyan characters or something like that. So could be interesting. I don't know why it's taking them so long to do something like this. It's can't be that tough to develop, but it is what it is. Mid-match background change / domains. Yeah, I've mentioned that. Characters that can change the OST even if momentarily. Yeah, that could be cool. I think one of the things that's kind of lacking in Legends is they've done a better job with this recently, but a lot of the OSTs are just not very good. I don't know a better way of putting that. They're just not very encouraging. They don't generate tons of excitement. I don't know. I just don't feel like the OST in Legends is really something that stands out to me. There are a few definitely good OSTs in the game. And again, I think they've done a better job with it more recently than they have in the past, because a lot of like the older tracks in this game are just bad. Like Sometimes they do show up in PvP, like you enter a PvP match and like a day one OST from this game just starts playing, and I'm like, okay, I wish I just had the game muted. But yeah, that could be cool if we had characters that just changed the OST. Ultras or Ultra LFs with ink effects on their battle animations. Yeah, I could see that. That would probably be more so for Ultra LFs, which I don't know if they're actually going to do for the anniversary. I think it's at least a very high chance, though. We are getting to the point, and I've mentioned this many times, where we now at this point do have essentially all of like the crazy hype level, the highest tier of hype level characters basically all have ultra variations in the game, except for UI Goku, who I think we're going to be getting during this anniversary. So you know, Super Gogeta, Super Vegito, Gogeta Blue, Vegito Blue, UI Sign, Beast Gohan, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and we're about to get UI. So like that pretty much covers it. I would also throw in Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku in there, but you know, not yet. Not yet. Okay, we got a double tweet here. Playable giant characters thanks to the RAM update. I think that's the reason why we didn't see Goma in March and why we still have only one Orange Piccolo in the game. Maybe. I don't know if, well, Orange Piccolo, so first of all, we don't even have like a standalone, just normal Orange Piccolo, which is kind of weird. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's just saying that he thinks like we could get a normal Orange Piccolo that goes giant, which I could see. But yeah, it is kind of strange that we only have one of him. Unit with multiple transformations. This, I think, is going to be one of the more common things that I see people bring up, actually. This is a really, really wanted feature. And it's been something that people have been wanting to see since literally day one of the game. And this in particular is not something that would really even take like tons of more design space and design time, development time from the development team, because the mechanic exists already. It's not like they're making, oh, now we like okay, we're going to implement like, I don't know, domains or destructible environments or ground battles where they have to actually build the mechanics from scratch. All we're asking for is just for a unit that transforms twice. It's not, they're not going to have to sit down and actually build from scratch the mechanic of being able to transform twice. It exists already. It's just the same thing twice. So this is, I think, a pretty realistic expectation. And I think one of the reasons why they haven't done this yet is actually directly due to the RAM limitation. I think whenever you have a character that's in the game that has a transformation, the game has to load in the models and the assets and the animations from two characters, because essentially when you have a transforming character, it is two characters in one. So I think now with the RAM update and the game requiring you to have more powerful devices, this is now easily on the table. It's just going to be a matter of how they want to execute it. I don't know how exactly, but about time to make some use out of awakening cards. Yeah, so he's talking about the purple. Let me see if I can find an example. It would be Bojack. He's talking about the purple cards, which never are like almost never use these awakened arts cards. Bojack has this. We have like Goldo has this. We have the Frieza and Cell who have this for the seal. Very underutilized arts card that exists in the game. It's just kind of like a wild card sort of thing. But yeah, maybe. We'll see. Stage destruction on some stages that have arenas or mountains, etc. Multiple AoE green card immunities. Yeah, but that's not really like something like that. They're not updating the game to do this. Like this, they could just do this now. Paralysis mirror ability. If you are about to get paralyzed, you deflect it and your opponent gets it instead. That's interesting, actually. That's pretty cool. Okay. Sure. From somebody who doesn't like paralysis, I'm on board with that. And I'm assuming that most people playing this game, aka like maybe at least 9 out of 10 players, don't like paralysis. All right. Someone else will probably say before me, but multiple transformations in one character. Yeah, I imagine we're going to be seeing this a lot. People saying giant characters, but I don't think they will work well fully playable like a normal character because a lot of the animations would just not work. Yeah, I agree with this. They could just do it like in Sparking Zero where it just cancels out, but that's just too OP. I think what's going to happen is, I think I've mentioned this multiple times at this point, but the way I would do giant characters is instead of it being a fully controllable character like a normal character is, just because I don't think it would visually work, it would probably end up being almost like a mini cutscene. So imagine like clashes. Like I'm imagining it as kind of like a series of QTEs, quick time events, where maybe there's a clash. Then there's like, you know, when you are clashing against the CPU in co-op where you have to like swipe different parts of the screen that the arrows are going into. Maybe there's one of those. And then maybe there's like from full power battle, you know how there's like tap the screen a bunch and then, you know, it counts how many times you tap it. And then there's the other one from full power battle where you have to time when the circles are like becoming smaller and you have to perfectly time it to when it fills up the other circle. I feel like those are giant characters are probably going to be a series of those actions, and whoever scores better on whatever actions it shows you on the screen is going to get some kind of advantage. And that's, I think, probably how they're going to do giant characters. I do not think they're going to be fully controllable. I just don't think it's going to work. So something like that could be good. Maybe it's like a limited time transformation or some. I don't think they're going to just release Cellmax into the game as a giant character. I think it'll probably end up being maybe some kind of like ability. Or maybe they release a new Magenta, but maybe his main ability is unleashes Cellmax or something, right? Cellmax appears and then you go through a bunch of QTEs and then you know, whoever gets more a better result on the QTEs has something happen or something like that. I could see something like that being the way that this works. Definitely want to see a landscape mode for the game on mobile. I'm not exactly sure why they don't do that. I don't know. I think the reason is probably just because they would have to basically redo a lot of the animations. Because if you take it, like there are like mods I think you can use to like force activate landscape mode, and there are parts of animations that clearly are not made to be used in landscape mode. So I feel like it would probably just take way too much effort to do that, as opposed to just keeping everything, you know, not in landscape mode. The game from day one was just not built to be played in landscape mode, so I don't think they're gonna like retroactively go back and alter or adjust some of these animations so that they don't look wonky in landscape. I think it's probably just beyond the scope of what they want to do with this update. Choice transformations, for example. This is actually something that I have mentioned too. I think this is something they definitely need to do. For example, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, that when transforming allows you to choose whether you want to transform into Super Saiyan 4 or Super Saiyan God. Yeah, this actually is probably my most wanted mechanic. Hands down, I think, actually. We could have a game. I think a lot of it would be game originals, right? Because obviously, if you're going to be choosing between God or Super Saiyan 4, there's no Goku that does that from the series, unless you're talking about like Heroes or something. I think even in Heroes, it's not the same Goku who does that. So it probably would be like a game originals version of the character. Maybe like there's a Frieza who you could choose to go golden or full power or something like that. Vegeta could choose to either go like Super Saiyan. Again, same thing with Vegeta. Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan 4. What about like a base Gogeta who you could choose to go Super Saiyan 4 or Super Saiyan Blue? A base Vegito who could choose to go. I guess it really wouldn't make sense, but it'd be like Super Vegito from Z or Vegito Blue from Super. There's a lot they could do with this, and I think what they would probably do, the way that they would execute it, is you click the main ability, and then like you have like 3 seconds to just. So you click the main ability, and then you get like a pop-up window on your screen that's has like an image of Super Saiyan 4 Goku and has an image of Super Saiyan God Goku on the right, and then you have to just tap whichever one you want to do. And the reason why this is such a cool idea, or this is at least the way that I would design it, is each of the transformations would have specific pros and cons to them. So you would choose to go Super Saiyan 4 maybe against certain enemies, but in a different situation you would maybe choose to go Super Saiyan. Maybe you need to be like super defensive for some reason. Maybe this is your last character alive, and for Super Saiyan God, he's like the most last man standing character ever or something, so you'd want to choose him. But maybe you want to go Super Saiyan 4 because he's the more defensive character, or maybe he's a supporting character, or whatever it is. I think having distinct roles for these transformations makes it more interesting in situations where you want to be like, okay, in this situation I definitely want to go Super Saiyan 4, or I definitely want to go Super Saiyan God in this situation. The worst possible thing they could do with this is if they do a character with multiple transformations, and then like 99.999% of the time you're choosing one of them over the other. That defeats the whole purpose of the mechanic. So that's something that I actually really do want to see, but I don't know if I have the faith in the development team to be able to actually give us a well-balanced choice between the two forms, right? Like, given the history of their ability to balance and design characters, do I think they're going to do a good job at having both of the possibilities be actually like a tough choice to choose? Probably not, but it's theoretically, it is a good mechanic, I think. Super Zenkai, or something that can add abilities to old Zenkais without the need of equipment. I don't think there's a need to do this, and the reason why is because that's the purpose that Zenkai abilities serve, right? So when a character Zenkai awakens, there's an ability that will essentially never age, right? And that's the reason why they, I think, originally wanted to give Zenkai characters Zenkai abilities. I don't think it was executed well, but you know, you have a character. I mean, we could go back over to the list here. Let's delete this. So if you go back to like the very early characters, Super Saiyan 3 Goku is who I'm thinking of, right? Super Saiyan 3 Goku Zenkais in 2020 or something. I think it was 2020 he Zenkai'd. 5 years ago, Super Saiyan 3 Goku Zenkais. Super Saiyan 3 Goku as a Zenkai character, you will never use him in the battle because he sucks. But he's a fantastic bench character because of his Zenkai ability. So because of that, I don't think they will do Super Zenkais, just because the characters still have value attached to them with their Z abilities and Zenkai abilities together. So I don't think they'll do this, but I mean, I'm not going to say they're never going to do it, but they might. I don't think so, though. Make characters more customizable through a new type of equipment. You guys can come up with ideas for equips below. Make characters more customizable through a new type of equipment. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but maybe he means like certain slots you can choose what the buffs are. I guess it could be interesting. I don't know how they would do that though. If I had to choose, I would want ground battles, but only certain units have the ability to do it or something. Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't just give every character that. I think what would happen is like, I don't know. Actually, Jackie Chun would be a really good candidate for that kind of mechanic. What if it's like, or a cell? Well, imagine this. There's a new cell that drops, and his main ability forms the Cell Games arena, and like you just start fighting on the Cell Games arena or something like that, right? That could be cool. That would be something I'd like. And then I think in terms of if they actually wanted to make like the ground battle mechanic an overarching thing that they're going to continue to provide us new characters for moving forward, they could almost have like an entirely new type of battle system and battle, whatever they call it. Like battle. Like they could have a new rule set for the battle system for ground battles, right? The one character activated his ground battle mechanic. Okay, now Rising Rushes are sealed. There's no AoE green cards allowed. Main abilities are sealed. Each character gets, this card, and this you could do this, and there's no vanishes. Like there could be much different rules associated with how ground battles work, and I think that could be an interesting just difference in the way the game is played. Playable Great Ape or any other giant characters, yeah. Trio characters, yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. If they're gonna do multiple transformation characters, then they will be able to do trio characters. The only issue I really have with trio characters is it could get very, very complicated. Now, they did mention in the newsletter when they talked about the way that they wanted to, I guess, sort of like design characters moving forward, is they want to shy away from these super long and complex characters that are doing everything. And I think trio characters kind of don't follow that path. I think if you have a trio character, it's going in the opposite direction. It's going to become even more complicated. But I don't want to say they're never going to do it because I think it's at least on the table. I was actually thinking this character when this person said this too, the Super Saiyan Vegeta, Goku, and Trunks from the Android 13 movie. Could be an interesting pick for a potential trio character. Like, would they all have different typings? They'd all have different abilities. I think if they were going to do a trio character, they might actually all have to be the same in terms of their abilities. Otherwise, it would just become way too confusing. Like, imagine if you had a Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks character and they all had like their own abilities. that would be kind of insane. I think what they would probably end up doing is like, so let's go back to a character here, the new way that they have these abilities listed. I think they'd probably all have the same starter abilities. They'd all have the same cover changes, and they'd all have the same unique gauge. But then when it came to like the actual unique ability, they'd have like 80% of it be the same, but then maybe like one paragraph is different for each of them. That's probably the way that they do it, just to keep it as less confusing as possible. But it would be challenging to remember everything. How would so what you have to go? So let's just say the character starts at Goku, right? So you start out as Goku, then you go Vegeta, then you go Trunks, then you go Goku, and it always follows that rotation. I guess is how it would work. Multi-transforming characters who transform multiple times during the battle. Yes. I think that's. I would probably rank that as number one in terms of what I think people would want the most. I would honestly like to see more of the anti-switch mechanic that Ultra UI and Red Broly have. Okay, yeah, you're thinking of like, I think they actually do call it, I think they actually do call it anti-cover change, I think is what they call it. Yeah, I think the technical name is anti-cover change. I enjoyed that mechanic. I feel like they didn't do it justice with Broly. They should have made it so that Ultra Gogeta couldn't. Yes, I completely agree with you. I think the mechanic is a very meta-dependent ability. I actually think the ability would be really powerful right now, right? With Daima being able to swap out every 2 seconds, an ability like that would have been really, really powerful right now. Like if let's just say like, instead of them doing a DB celebration right now, if they just dropped Red Broly right now and had him be a monster with the anti-cover change mechanic, I think he would have had a pretty big impact because of the way that the meta is set up right now. But yeah, I don't really know why they did what they did with Broly because of Gogeta. Like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta's gauge actually just nullifies the mechanic entirely. Something like a back and forth transformation, like in Super Episode 114 Goku, when in God form he has increased. I see. Yeah. So this is 114. I think was when he was fighting. Was it Dispo with Hit? And he was going from God to Blue and then like sort of like back and forth. They did that in the manga in the Future Trunks saga against Goku Black. It was Vegeta and Goku who were going back and forth between God and Blue. And the reason why was because God was faster and Blue was like stronger, harder hitting attacks. That could be interesting. I don't know how they would execute that though. Maybe when in God form he has increased Vanish Restoration and heals 3% HP when hit, but in Blue he has High Q Recovery, Cover Null, and Disrupt Immunity. Yeah, I mean that could be interesting. Another example for weapon wielders, Super Vegeta that can switch back and forth from fighting with his legs to using the Spirit Sword, dealing higher impact. Okay, a change in fighting style. That could be like a, I don't even know, that they could call it like the stance mechanic or something. They could do a new hit that has like different stances for different types of advantages and disadvantages. That actually could just be a subset of the multi-transforming characters where you transform and you get to choose one form or the other form. That could be, what if they just called it a stance mechanic, right? So even if a character is transforming, like base Goku either goes into Blue Goku or Super Saiyan 4 Goku, they could just call it a stance, right? Hit uses his main ability. He can either go to stance A or stance B. Super Vegeta uses his main ability. He can either use only his hands or only his feet. I don't know. could be cool, I guess. All right, let's see. Probably a no-brainer. Multiple transformations. Yep. Ranged Ultimate Clash. To be honest, it's kind of niche, but imagine if LF Omega and LF Red Diamond Mini Goku's clashed ultimates. And how would that work? It would just be like a normal beam clash, I guess. Continuing on the trend of clashes, if there's a beam clash and you won, it should have more damage. Almost simulating a family Kamehameha beam clash. I guess, I mean, it's such a rare occurrence that I don't know if it's really even worth for them to spend time on that, to be honest. Unique gauge that if it gets filled, it will deploy automatically on the arena and change the scene, giving buffs to either the main unit or the entire team. Think of it like Ultra Hit's time skip combined with Ultra Cell's attack type gauge. Huh. Yeah, I mean, that could be a new type of gauge. See that? I think we got more here. No. When you collect 7 Dragon Balls, instead of it just turning into a Rising Rush, you also have a choice to wish 1 dead member back. That's an ability I've been thinking about for a while. I don't think they're going to do it, and the reason why is because there's too many broken combos you can do with that. Having the ability to revive a dead ally, I think, would probably instantly make you the best character in the game, I think. Even if it revived them at 1 health, I think it would make you the best character in the game, like, bar none. So what, you're going to revive a character that has indestructible, or like revive a character that has death buffs, revive a character, like imagine you revive like Majin Buu and then you get paralyzed again when you kill him. Like I feel like it's just too, it creates way more problems than it does solutions. So I don't think they would touch that. I have thought about that mechanic though. He's saying when you collect Dragon Balls though. I think there's... What would happen with this is you would never use a rush. You would just hold on to your Dragon Balls until you have a dead ally and then immediately resurrect them, I think is what would happen with this. Great Ape / Giant mechanic. During battle, certain units can turn into a giant Great Ape. You take very minimal damage. You can do high damaging attacks. Maybe. I don't think they're going to handle it like this, though. I think they're going to just make them like sort of mini cutscene characters. Ult/LS going into giants and giving it an attack type sequence like full power battle mode. Yeah, that could also be a way that they do it, is they just have it be part of an ultimate, I guess. During the Dokabaki impact, these are clashes. If there's a draw instead of RNG, it should be a level 2 where the person that taps the screen the most will win the impact. They could do that, or they could just make it a draw, right? The animation already exists. If you guys were playing co-op at all, like, let's just say you are in a clash with the opponent in co-op and you do all the like swiping actions that it tells you to do. If your buddy doesn't attack the boss, there is a tying clash animation where it resets you and the AI back to neutral. It should just, if there's a draw, it should just do that, I think, in PvP. New type of finishes depending on the characters and team. Sort of like Ninja Storm, for example, would be Unireps. You have Evolution Blue and 17. Oh, Evolution Blue Vegeta and Blue Kaioken and 17. You can build a gauge. When you finish the opponent with a blue or LF, it'll be the same result that ended Jiren. Yeah, like team attacks, he's saying. You know, I actually haven't thought of that. Team attacks. Where you have certain characters that need other characters to... Yeah. That could be interesting. The only thing I'm thinking about with that is that might be illegal. The only way that would work is if you had free characters as the condition. So like, I'm just trying to think of this. Like if you had a team attack, what am I looking at here? If you had a team attack that required Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku on your team to use it, that would not be legal, actually, because there's only a Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku you can obtain via a paid gacha. What they would have to do is they'd have to give out a free version of this character, and then it would be okay. So like a team attack that would include any character whose name includes Goku or something would be fine, because there's many different free-to-play Gokus in the game. Or a team attack that includes a character whose name includes Piccolo, right? That would also include like Piccolo, Demon King Piccolo, because there's obviously many free-to-play Piccolos in the game. So that's the way they could do it. It would probably not require certain characters, but I don't know how that would work animation-wise, right? But it's at least something to consider. I actually didn't even think about that. It might be something they would want to do moving forward, but it's probably a little complicated. Playable giants, yep. Mid-battle background changes, yep. I think that's pretty obvious. Higher quality ultra animations, so they look different from Sparking's mid-battle, like Ink Splash or something. Yep, that's cool. New type of PvE raids against giants that require more thought, like moving left to dodge a swipe hit. That's kind of similar to full power battle, but they are, I think, kind of not continuing with full power battle. They said they're removing the full power battle medals, so I don't know if they're like scrapping the idea of the mode or whatever, but I think just more interesting PvE content in general is what we want to see. I've seen months ago a concept for a new MUI. I would honestly love something like a Dokkan domain that could give you special abilities. Yeah, I mean, but that's, yeah, we all think that's probably going to happen at some point. Don't know if it would look like this, but I think because this doesn't really take advantage of the increased RAM that they are requiring now, right? Whatever this is. A revive unit with self-destruct ultimate pre-revive. The ultimate would force your own revive early, but since it's considered a self-destruct attack, it would cancel a lot of the second life mechanics. I think it would be a good trade-off. Super boo. Revive unit with a self-destruct. Huh. That's like a very specific mechanic for like a boo character. Like, I don't know if that would be considered a new overarching ability. Like, it would be like just a very specific new ability for one character, like Super Boo. Yeah, giant characters. Yeah, I mean, Goma has to be coming. Goma has to be coming, and they're not doing the mini version of Goma. Like, come on. Characters with multiple transformations. For example, Alternative Power Goku, which you click as main, you get a pop-up with all his transformations and have 5 seconds. I don't know if they do all of his transformations, because that's like, what is it? Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, God, Blue, UI Sign, UI. That's 7 forms. I don't know if they do that, but like, give us like two choices. I know that's a lot of kits, but they don't all have to be completely different. They could just dedicate a small section in the kit to each transformation. One could have support, one combo ability. Yeah, I just don't see them doing that many types. I think it's just going to probably, if they would do this, I think it would probably just be like 2. I don't want new mechanics / abilities at the moment. I just want the devs to figure out their new design ethos and have a stretch of about 4 to 6 months of simpler, less annoying units. Well, we're definitely getting new mechanics for the anniversary for sure. I definitely do not want 2 or more Ultra banners for the anniversary either. I think there's a very high chance we get 2 Ultras. Very high chance. Some sort of a fusion dance mechanic, kind of like an arts action where you have to tap the screen to successfully fuse. That could be cool actually. Where instead of just pressing like the synchro gauge, you have to actually do something for it. Interesting. And if you don't tap enough, you'll fuse into Veku. That could be funny, yeah. A character where you can, dude, that would be like the most BM thing ever. Like, you're about to crush somebody, like they have 1 character left and you have like your full team alive at full HP. You fuse into Veku on purpose just to BM them. Oh my god. A character where you can pick between 2 different transformations, yes, in a match. Each option having a different playstyle, huge defense versus high burst damage. Give them 2 LFs depending on what route you went with. Would be a lot of fun if they did it right. Yeah, I think this is the most wanted thing I've seen so far. This plus the multiple transforming characters, like transforming two or 3 times. All right, let's go for a few more here. Family Kamehameha unit that has an ability like Ultra Beast Special Beam Cannon, but the damage, effects, and animation of the attack change depending on if your ally Gohan, Goten, and or Goku is alive. The charge rate could increase when those allies die, so at first the attack can be activated 120 counts in, but the charge rate increases by 1.5 every time one of the required allies dies. So if both required allies die, you can use the action every 30 counts, but it would be much weaker as it would just be a normal Kamehameha. This person really wants a family Kamehameha, huh? He's really put a lot of thought into this one. It's interesting. I'd like to see some new wave multiple transformations like Tag Gods, Blues, fuse into Gogeta from Broly movie, or a triple tag unit like the Super Saiyan Trio from Android 13 movie. Yeah, so I'm trying to think like how would they, because at this point a lot of people have mentioned this. Characters who can transform multiple times in one fight. So for example, like second form Frieza into third form Frieza into final form Frieza is one option. Third form Frieza into final form Frieza into full power Frieza. So normally when we have a transforming character, I believe it's 20 counts, right, to get the transformation off. So if we go to like, I don't know who's transforming. VB. VB can transform after 20 timer counts. I don't think they would then make the next transformation another 20 counts, probably. I think what they would probably do is they would have the first one probably be 15. And then the next one probably would also be 15. So you can get to the third form of the character by 30 counts in, is probably what they would do. Because the worry, at least from a developer standpoint with this, is how do we at least get a good amount of screen time for all the forms, right? I guess they you know what they would also need to make sure too is they'd also have to make sure that like there's like the second form serves more of a purpose than just being a bridge between the first and the last form. I think they should make sure that all the different forms have some kind of benefit to them, right? Okay, do I want to just go straight to the final form, or do I want to make sure that I'm getting like the correct amount of value and use out of each of the forms? That's probably what they'd have to think about when they do that. Unique gauge that will instantly kill Ku when it fills to 100%. Yeah, 71 likes. Yep. Domain effect that is locked behind awakened cards like transforming Bojack. My idea is 7th anniversary will have a transforming Broly via an awakened arts, and after he goes Super Saiyan, he does the AoE attack from the movie and destroys the field. The effect I'm thinking is 30% damage to all allies and 20% inflicted damage. Wait, 30% damage to allies? And 20% damage and 20% inflicted damage all enemies. Or instead of reducing enemies' damage, it also gives 10% damage guard to all allies. Huh. I could definitely see something like this though, where you have a like a Broly that transforms, but at the same time he does like an AoE attack or something. I could see it. Yeah. Got this idea from another game. Okay. Trade-off. Basically, a character will have an ability to select one of the enemy team characters to have a 1v1 with. It can only happen once. A downside is if you lose the trade-off is a character can die, but the winner will be fainted. So you can get a character out the way if they are a problem at the cost of being punished. Obviously, this won't work if there's only one enemy player. They could also make special interactions or animations to characters who've actually fought before. Huh. An ability to select one of the enemy team's characters to have a... you know what this is? It's this. For those of you who remember this EX Ginyu, look at his main ability. Inflicts all allies and enemies with no switching for 10 counts. So what this guy does is he locks himself in with the opponent for 10 counts. That's basically what this is, right? It is a 1v1. That's what this Ginyu does. But I guess it would just be like an elevated version of this. Domain like Dokkan reworked Rising Rush mechanics, multiple transformations, giants, destructible arenas, blocking during combat, and ground combat. Blocking during combat, I don't think would happen because they already tried that and it didn't work. Blocking is a mechanic that actually existed in the game in the beta, and they took it out. So I don't know if they would revisit that, but I mean, at least it's in the game. Actual skins for characters. As someone who doesn't care too much about cosmetics, I'm fine with them adding an extra source of monetization so they can crank out more amazing animations and not have dookie eyesores like green transforming Vegito Blue stolen LF for the biggest celebration of the year. There is a part of his LF that does look cool, right? I mean, that's the heat dome. Like that's like the original Legends original animation. I mean, it's not completely original because it's a stolen. It is technically a stolen attack. Actual skins. I think what he means by actual skins are like Goku in the spacesuit or something, like when he's flying to Namek. I don't know how they do that though for each character. Like, is it just like all Gokus could use this, or I don't know how that would work. Ultra LF concept, unique animations whenever facing off against their arch nemesis. That'd be pretty specific though, right? Like, how many times are you going to be using... Like, I guess it would depend on who it would be. Like, Gohan and Cell right now, I think, actually fight... You would probably get that decently often. You know what this would be? It would kind of be like when you have the specific voice lines. Because if you're like, for example, if you're using Ultra Gohan, Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, he does have specific voice lines against Cell characters. But I don't know if they'd go as far as to do... specific animations for that. Probably just too niche of a situation. One unit having multiple transformations could use the Synchro Gauge main ability or have it related to conditions like reviving Ginyu. Unit with multiple transformations. Yeah. Everyone wants this, man. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Main ability that creates a domain similar to Dokkan, changes biome, provides buffs and stuff to team. Revival mechanic that is high risk, high reward. Imagine an LF Super Boo that when defeated is sealed for 30 timer counts, and if you manage to survive that long with 2 characters, he comes back as best unit in the game. Boo takes. If your 2 other units die beforehand, you lose. Yeah, that could be interesting. A self revive that is dependent upon certain things happening. It's kind of like a worse indestructible. This, I assume this will only happen once. Add additional abilities to all characters that customizable. For example, I could either add a regenerative ability for LF Demon King Piccolo, or a more offensive one with more damage inflicted, or a defensive one that gives him more damage guard. Just more customization. Because right now, the way you customize characters is equipment. I guess he just means like another way to do this. Units that have minigames baked into their kit. We already have the tap action for some of the ultimate arts. Imagine a banner unit Para Brothers that force you to play a DDR style rhythm game. Yeah, that could be interesting. A clash option when you get the same number. I think they should just be draws. Some sort of equipment overhaul to make equips more differentiated, allowing the same character to perform different roles depending on your equipment load instead of being just stat increases. I think that would be too hard to balance. Like actual abilities on equipment. Bring back the Awakened card with some form of attack, transformation. Thinking UI Goku, MUI Goku, the rapid hits he does on Jiren while he's glowing white. Yeah, the only character that does this is Bojack. The red Bojack that I showed earlier. Because his transformation is tied to the Awakened arts card. Make players use 4 or 5 characters in battle. This would make matches longer. Yeah, the reason why they don't do this is I think it's tied to the thing I was talking about with the memory needed to load all the models in. I don't know if they do this though. Probably. Like imagine 3v3 already takes 7 minutes. Imagine 5v5. Oh my god. Side PvP event where it's based on heroes versus villains of certain sagas. 1 week it's Namek Saga, so you have to create either a hero or villain team from the saga. PvP would always pit you against a player that is using the opposite. I mean, that would be matchmaking hell. The idea is cool, but matchmaking would not let that work. Multiple transformations, playable giant characters, changing the environment during mid-battle, a new way of vanishing. Huh. Using key instead of a gauge. Huh, that's interesting. A new way of vanishing. Using key instead of a gauge. That sounds like a UI Goku mechanic to me. I don't know why that resonates so much with me. Imagine you're UI Goku and you have no vanishing gauge, but you still can vanish. It just takes like 50 key and you could vanish again. Like if you sidestep an opponent's attack while you have no vanish left, as long as you have 50 key, it still lets you do it. Or 100 key even. That would be cool. A mechanic that repels/blocks long-range blue cards. Repels/block costs key and a bit of health. We're talking about like in Sparking Zero, how they have like the way you can just swat away ki blasts or like Kamehamehas. That would probably to me be part of a counter gauge. Multi-transformation like Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3 or a Kaioken Goku that it goes higher and higher. Yeah, like ×3, ×4. All right, I think we'll make this the last one. UI Goku, where if you start as him, the whole stage is surrounded in an aura until he swaps out. Yeah, so it sounds like we have a very common few updates, mechanics, abilities that people want to see, like the interactable environment, domain thing. That I'm going to kind of clump those together. Playable giant characters, multiple transformations for the same character, a choice transformation where you get to choose. You know, if Goku wants to go into Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan Blue, and then we have some like sort of not overarching changes, just some specific changes that people want to see. To me, honestly, I think the most interesting mechanic that we talked about today probably is the being able to choose out of 2 transformations which one you want to do. That would add a lot of depth to the game, right? You have base Goku, and you can transform into Super Saiyan Blue, who's like some impenetrable wall of a tank. Or you can transform into Super Saiyan 4, who's like the best offensive character or something. And the reason why that's so cool is because not only does it affect the match and the way that you're fighting against the team as the opponent, but it also affects the way you build your team, right? Like you could just go into the fight assuming you're going to be always transforming into Super Saiyan Blue Goku, because that's the way you've built your team around the character. So it actually could help team building. Let's say you're a free-to-play player and you only have characters that work well with one of the 2 transformations. I don't know, it just adds a lot more flexibility to what the character can do. I think that's a cool idea. But you guys can let me know down below what you want to see as part of the 7th anniversary and as part of the, and I guess to leverage the massive update dropping this month. Let me know what types of things you'd want to see. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.